Hello and welcome to what is inevitably going to be quite a brief run of the Lunar Library Book Club, which is the book club that I run through Waypoint Books, where it is a surprise book for you every month. And it's a new book to me as well, and generally has around the theme of Gothic and Gothic fiction. Specifically this year anyway, I really made an attempt to find some really good spooky books. If you've read the books, great. If you didn't, don't worry. Some of these were bad. They were just bad. There were quite a few that I was actively really disappointed by. So I'm going to have a look through some of the comments that were made each month about certain books, and I'm going to do them chronologically, starting with January's pick was The Ghost Locket by Alison Rushby. And I'll be honest, it wasn't a great start. The first book, The Lunar Library, I didn't actually pick up until about March. And even though it says right here, a Christmas time ghost story, this came out in late December, or I found it late December, and I was like, oh, that would be a really nice, like, wintry thing. No, it's straight up Christmas. It is a Christmas ghost story, which wasn't a great thing to read in March anyway. But I have a lot to say with regards to The Ghost Locket and the rest of the books. So, yeah, it's going to be a really interesting live show. Hello, I haven't read any of these, but I have a few, so I figure out which ones I should keep and read. I'll be honest, Lizzie, very, very few. There are so few in here that I would actually actively recommend. That I would say of the 12 books, looking at them, there are maybe 2 that I will keep that I've read. It's gonna be a time. It's gonna be a time. So, like I said, we're gonna start with The Ghost Locket by Alison Rushby. So, for those of you who did get a chance to read it, The Ghost Locket is about a young girl who can see ghosts. It's something she's always been able to do. And there is something about the house that she's working on. It's kind of a historical Victorian home that is full of ghosts that she has to kind of start solving a Christmas-style mystery and release some of the spirits within. One of the things that immediately really grated on me about this book is it's a middle grade. It reads really well. It's written really well, but the main character is the most reluctant investigator I've ever seen. And it's not just a I'm scared, I don't want to. It's almost a belligerent pettiness towards the end of her not wanting to do stuff. She's very kind of forced into solving this mystery because otherwise she's just going to continue to be tormented kind of thing. I found the friendship between her and the girl that also works there really jarring. I did think it was interesting that she basically has been raised in a very modern society in the fact that she was raised in Singapore, surrounded by tech and modern buildings, and therefore has very little interaction with these like really old school buildings that are like. So I'm just trying to mute my stuff now because I can hear my Discord popping off. So she kind of has like she's used to kind of being able to avoid ghosts, and she can very much sense them at a distance. Whereas in this building, I did really like the concept of the building. I really like the idea that it's a museum that is built to look like a lived-in home. I really liked that as an idea. I just found her infuriating. And I don't know if it was partly the wrong timing because I read a Christmas book in March, or if it was partly the fact that there were just little things, like little middle grade issues that I had with it. I don't know. But I was really hoping that a fun, spooky middle grade would be a great way to start the year for Lunar Library. And then it just wasn't. So I ended up giving this 2.5 to 3 stars. Like I said, the writing style was fine. The pacing was fine. I just didn't vibe with the characters, and the actual narrative itself just didn't do it for me at all. So I shared in the Discord that I really wish the protagonist would care more about the mystery. That as a narrative voice, she's interesting, and I love all the rep for social workers, etc. There was actually I'm really glad I checked this because I completely forgot about this. That's how like subtle that was in my life. There's a whole thing where she starts going to a social club for people, which then does kind of add to the story and add to her investigation. And I really liked that. I liked the fact that it wasn't social workers are these really scary people, and mental health is this really scary thing that we don't talk about. And the ghosts, to a certain extent, become almost like a metaphor type thing. But I liked that. I didn't like a lot of it. Hello and welcome. If you guys have any questions, by the way, please feel free to leave them as comments. This is going to be pretty spoiler heavy for the ones that I've read, because for the ones I haven't read, I can't. So Emma from Emma Novella actually soft DNF'd this one, which doesn't really surprise me because, like I said, it doesn't really hit the way I wanted it to. Just because it doesn't have the kind of energy that I expected. I guess I kept trying to compare it to Evelyn Jones. Now, Evelyn Jones is a ghost story middle grade that I absolutely adore. I think I expected it to have that kind of energy, and it just didn't. So yeah, in general, kind of rubbish. Didn't enjoy that one. I'll see if there's any other comments that need discussing, or feel free to drop them in the chat, etc. I was actively recommending Evelyn Jones. Ali said that they were annoyed with the main character at first and definitely thought a lot of people would be. She does start to get a bit better as the story goes on, and she gets more brave. I don't think I agreed as much. I think I found her and the way she kept pushing at her foster mum really frustrating. I don't think even as she got more brave, she got more likable. So yeah, like I said, I ended up giving this like 2.5 to 3 stars. It was fine, but not one that I would actively recommend to anybody, Christmas time or otherwise. So like I said, it was a really great start, reading wise. The next one was even worse. I DNF'd the next one. So the next book, let me just update my banner. Here we go. So the next one was A Dark Inheritance by H.F. Asquith. Okay. I attempted to read this for a Great Gatsby vlog, where I read Great Gatsby and I read the Anne Marie McLemore LGBT BIPOC retelling. And then I attempted to read this one. And when I tell you, I didn't even make the 50-page mark. The writing of this is beyond obtuse. Like, it's just ridiculous. There was nothing about this that kind of drew me in. What's really interesting is Hannah Ryan from the Bookworms Feast read it really quickly a couple of years ago, or maybe when it came out or whatever, and really, really enjoyed it. And the people it's compared to are like Leigh Bardugo and Neil Gaiman. But for me, it wasn't even paint by numbers. It was just really mundane. And as I'm not a massive fan, I really learned the hard way that I am not a massive fan of The Great Gatsby. Reading a retelling that was somehow more obnoxious and was really trying to like lay out this really heavy and dense mystery in a way that I just didn't care about, I just gave up. Again, this was one of the ones where I was like, life's too short. I don't care. I had every intention of unhauling it if it weren't for the fact that I was doing my TBR challenge, and then this as well. Really, this one was one of the ones that I was super disappointed about because I actually pre-ordered this for myself. I was so excited. It had such an interesting premise that he knows he's going to die. There's like a curse element to it. I didn't realize that it was going to be a Great Gatsby retelling until later, and I started looking at the Goodreads and stuff. Really disappointing. I mean, to be fair, Lizzie, there have been quite a few YAs that I've hated that you've really enjoyed. So you might find that you do enjoy this one, a little bit more. Like I said, Hannah Ryan was a lot more forgiving of this than I was. I just didn't care. I don't know if it was timing. I don't know if it's the vlog went really poorly. Obviously, we do love a shiny cover. I do really enjoy that. That's really pretty. But as a book, I just found this kind of tedious. And I just felt like it took forever to get anywhere. And the characters were all really unlikable. Yeah, like I said, I didn't actually give it very far to get into anything. But I think if your book is only like 300 or so pages, yeah, it's 387 pages, and the first 50 pages, nothing happens. I just didn't have time for it. I didn't want to make time for it. So I was very disappointed in that one. Let's see if there's any comments about it. Ali really liked it. They started vibing early doors. And gave it 4 stars in the end. They had a few gripes towards the end, so that to me just kind of seals it that I should have bothered wasting my time with it. Didn't really like it. Katie Jane also really liked it and gave it 4.5. So maybe I'm just being really harsh. Maybe you need to read this, Lizzie, and tell me, am I being super harsh about this one? I have no intention of reading it. But if I can find an audiobook, maybe I'll change my mind. But I just didn't care about it. I just did not care about it. So when I tell you this is going to be a brief catch up, this is what I mean. Is when I have nothing to say about the book. I've got nothing to say. So we'll put that stacked up there. The next one was weird. The next one was really, really weird. So the next one was The Ripping Tree by Nikki Gemmell. So I need to update my banner again. Making sure I spell that right. There we go. Okay, so The Ripping Tree by Nikki Gemmell is set in the 1800s, and this follows a young woman named Thomasina who basically survives a shipwreck, and she was sailing over to Australia to meet a clergyman that her brother was forcing her to marry. But in the shipwreck, she is the only one to survive. No one else survives. So she is kind of given this new opportunity to reinvent her life. And she takes that with both hands. And even though she kind of ends up in this house where things seem to be a little odd, she kind of stays with them because it means rather than going into town, she's got more freedom there, than she would if she goes into town to find the clergyman that she was supposed to marry. It starts kind of like a kind of Victorian ghost story, in the same way that it's kind of like this is later on in her life that this happens to her, and she's talking about it with her great-grandchildren. What I found really interesting about that, one is how modern the modern day bit felt, but also the fact that it really establishes early doors that she's in no threat because she survives. But there were times when that threat would have been really interesting to have. I am going to get into spoiler territory with this one because this is the first one that I finished and actually had an opinion on, other than I just didn't like it. It's not that I didn't like this. The writing style was very slow, and considering it's not a very big book, it felt really dense as a historical fiction. Being set in Australia, it looks at the Aborigines and how the Aborigines were treated by those who had gone over to Australia. And this is also specifically after certain colonies had been built based on convicts, etc. The spoiler in this is also a trigger warning for extreme racism. And essentially, the family that she is living with will trap and capture people of colour and sell their body parts to people in the UK. Not whole slaves, which would also be awful. But they're essentially, the father has jars of their teeth and bits of their hair and all sorts of things in this like laboratory type thing. And when she discovers this, she kind of hopes that she's going to get some help from people. And he's like, well, who do you think I sell them to? So it's one of these like really brutal things that the mystery the whole time you're thinking, this is going to be awful. This is going to be, please don't be that. And then it was that. And I was like, well, wild. Like, what do I even do with that? So it's really, really weird. And the ending I found so bizarre, because basically she starts kicking up a fuss because they're doing this horrendous thing. And they send her away to be put into a hospital and basically get her locked away. So she obviously escapes. And I can't work out if that's to set up for a sequel or if it's just that they wanted to have some kind of ambiguous ending, which then isn't ambiguous because she's telling the story later. It was a really interesting look into kind of the colonization. At no point do the white people come across as good people. There are certain things that there's a young boy in this story who actively tries to protect Thomasina and fails. There is a lot of like sexual predatory because they're men in a ranch all by themselves. It's a very it could be triggering. It's a book that really could be triggering, but everything is written so slowly and so gently. It's not quite insidious. It's just uncomfortable. And I don't think any of the discussions around racism or sexism or misogyny or sexual violence were ever really explored enough, because it was kind of caught up in this mystery that she was both intrigued to solve, but also like actively avoiding on the off chance that she might get herself in trouble. So this one was one of those ones where, well, I took it off my website, toot sweet, because I was like, I can't in good conscience recommend it. Like, it's a Times bestseller, so like people clearly enjoyed this, but I'm just like, there's a lot going on here that feels like lamplighting and not actually developing a conversation around stuff. It's like, yeah, racism's bad, but this guy is going to continue getting away with harvesting and selling parts of people of color. Wild. So I just need to text my mother back because she's just sent me a message. Okay. Hey Pixie, what a great time to arrive. You've not missed much, to be honest, because I went through 2 books that I thought were completely mid and one that I DNF'd. And then this one that was also just bizarre. Yeah, it was a really bad start. When I tell you that I hated so many of these books this year, and there is nothing I hate more than bad books is being the person to be like, yeah, guys, spend your money on bad books so we can be in a bad book club together. Like, we were 3 for 3 on books that I wouldn't recommend for a variety of reasons. And I can't wait to not have them on my shelves anymore. So it was a big yikes. It was a big yikes from me. Okay, let's go on to something a little bit more positive. I never finished the Turnout. I did not finish it. I had every intention. Let's change my banner again. I had every intention. Sorry, I forgot who it was by then. By Megan Abbott. I had every intention of reading this on time. I started it on time. I started it the month that we were supposed to, and I tried to do it for start to finish sprints. And I can tell you that I got a whole 24 pages in before I successfully managed to distract myself. So that's got to be a personal best. And then at some point throughout the year, I decided I really, really wanted to do a vlog all about books to do with ballet, because I used to be an avid ballerina as a child, really, really loved ballet. And I thought, I want to read like really good books about ballet. And I really like the narrative voice of this. It very much felt like a sharp, incisive response to a very difficult sport, whilst also looking at mental health through the two sisters, one of them being very good technically and one of them being very good naturally, one of them being a very good dance teacher technically and one of them being more likable as a dance teacher, and then one of them going missing. I really like the premise of that. I really like the setup of that. I just didn't finish it, and it's not through anything other than a complete lack of trying. Like, I just haven't picked it up since. I really would like to, but I think this is one of those ones where the writing was quite dense and I would have preferred it as an audiobook. So I might come back to that one as an audiobook, but I will absolutely come back to it because, like I said, I would really, really like to do a vlog about ballerina books. So if you've got any ballerina books you want to recommend me for that vlog, I'd really appreciate it. So yeah, that's all I've really got to say on that one. Like I said, this is the shortest wrap up ever. But yeah, so I'm keeping this one on my TBR just a little bit longer so that I can do that vlog. But yeah, okay, cool. I'll just having a look on the chat. I don't think I missed anything. There wasn't a lot of discussion about this one, to be fair. Okay. Where's my okay, another one that I have not quite finished, but I've come back to, and I've come back to swinging. I'm not even gonna bother with the banners anymore because I think I'm holding them up nicely. Is the Dark and Dangerous Gifts of Dolores Mackenzie. This is a kind of Pages and Co. meets the what's the name of the guy that's the really spooky, creepy books? Chris Priestley. It's like a Chris Priestley Pages and Co. where Dolores Mackenzie has these really dark, insidious monsters, like ghosts, chasing her because of magic that's within her. And she's going to have to go and spend time with her uncles to learn how to control this magic. Her sister kind of already has and is moving on to university or something else, but she's still got to learn. And then there's just a kind of myriad of other characters that you meet along the way as she learns to do this. Now, this is part of a series, which I didn't realize when I first picked it up, and I'm not mad about. I really like the fact that it's set in Edinburgh. I really like that it uses the Gaelic or Gaelic language to explore certain things in Edinburgh and certainly things with the monsters. And again, this is another one that I have every intention of continuing the series. I haven't got very far into it, but what I have read, I've really, really enjoyed. So it was a swift 180 middle grade wise, and for that I was eternally grateful. Yeah, like I said, I'm really looking forward to finishing this one and picking up the next one. I really like the writing style. It's got a really fun, fast pace, and the monsters and magic are really intriguing. Really, really intriguing with this one. I did pick this up super recently, though. Like super, super recently. I don't think I picked this up until January of this year. So I guess we could call that a whoops. But it's nice short. I really did think I'd finish it by then. It's less than 250 pages. This is okay, so it's Gaelic. Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so yeah, enjoyed it. Did any of you get to this one? Because I feel like where it was quite a short one, it was also one of the ones that I sold the most of when it came to the book club. Is this one you're familiar with? Would you be interested in it? It's by Yvonne Banham. So I enjoyed that. Someone has put something in the chat. Is it you? Oh, Ali can't make it because they're at the doctor's, which is a shame, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Ali, if you're watching this later, I love you and I miss you. Okay. You want to read that book? I think you should read that book. As a resident Scot, I feel like you'd enjoy this one. I feel like you'd have a good time with it. It's spooky. It's a good time. It is a good time. Spooky, middle grade, whimsy, Edinburgh. It's ticking all the boxes. Okay. June, another one that I've started. But when I tell you I started it, I have started Triflers Need Not Apply by Camilla Bruce. This is the one about the serial killers who have, well, the first female serial killer, Bella something. What's her name? It says it right at the beginning as well. I'm really good at this. No, I can't remember. Anyway, you've got Brynhild, Paul Status. I'm not going to try. I'm so sorry. I attempted it and then I immediately second guessed myself and panicked. But essentially, that's the story that I'm in, which is the very, very first one. And I already really, really enjoy this. It's a really kind of, I can already tell, like, so I'm less than 10 pages in. I can already tell that I really like the writing style. I really like the way the character is developed. It is definitely more of a show, don't tell type scenario where there is a lot of dialogue and kind of description around the dialogue and of the choreography of the characters, what they're doing and how they're acting around each other, rather than just kind of telling you what's happened. Now, in that opening chapter, you find out that Brynhild, the main character of that chapter, and I don't know if it's the same person that then kind of meets other people and kills them, or if she's going to turn her name to Bella, or if she's going to be the mother of Bella. I haven't quite got that far yet. But I really, really like the fact that she is pregnant by a man who has no interest in her. She is a farmhand. He is the son of the farm owner. It's never going to happen. Everyone around them knows that it's never going to happen. She tried to maneuver him into making it happen when she fell pregnant. That is not going to happen. And it's already leaving her in a lot of trouble. And I'm really intrigued to see if that is what causes her to go on a murder spree, or if it's the complete distrust of men that she raises in her child that then causes her to go and kill a bunch of people. I'm really, really excited to get to this one. I have had it sat next to my bed for weeks because I really thought this would be something I would want to read before I went to sleep. And then I have had so much going on, especially in the last 2 months, that I've just gone straight to sleep. Like, there has been so little reading before bed that it's just not happened. But I'm really, really keen to crack on with this one. So there's Triflers Need Not Apply, and then Camilla Bruce has recently come out with another one, which I had as a hardback, but I can't. I think it's in Our Blood or All Our Blood or something like that, which is about a serial killer family that invite people into their home and then brutally murder them. So I'm really, really intrigued by these ones, and I feel like if you like the book The Five, it's a very similar writing style, because I read the first couple of chapters of that to see if I wanted to keep it. It's historical fiction. It has that kind of in-depth world building that I really like from historical fiction. Again, only in the first 8 pages, but a good time. So we'll see. I don't know if it's going to get more than 4 stars, but it might. It has the potential to. I don't think I've read any of these. I'm just nosy. That one sounds interesting. That's fine. Thing is, last year I had not read 2 of them. And this year there are considerably more that I haven't read. And it is because the ones that I did read, I didn't care about. And it's really, really hard for me to sit here and say, yeah, you should be part of this book club, when I've picked so poorly recently. And just in general, I've been really, really disappointed with the books that I've picked up. I will say that of the ones that I'm reading, these are 3 of 4 that I'm actually keen to finish. Maybe 5. I did start one today. So these ones are, I will go through them again at the end, the ones that I would actually recommend. And the tabs, the channels are going to stay on the Discord until I'm finished, at least. And then I'm going to ask people if they want to keep them, if they are going to give them a go, so we can discuss them. Because I'm so late on this. I'm already a month late reading them, and I still haven't read them all. And I can only assume it is because I was so disappointed. I was so let down by my first 3 that it then just ruined my productivity with the rest of them. So that's what I'm blaming. I'm eating dinner, so I'm listening. But they were talking. For once in my life, you're welcome. Sorry, depending on your POV. I mean, I'm always here for you chatting and getting involved. So I'm never going to say don't do that. But I get it. Okay, truth time. The next one is the Headmaster's list. I chose this one because I had received an arc, which I then unhauled. And I've actually borrowed, I think this is Lizzie's copy that I've borrowed, because everyone started it, and then even the most forgiving readers gave it 2 stars. And I decided after this fiasco, I just wasn't going to bother. I had no intention of picking this up whatsoever. So I didn't. And actually, there's another one that I read and finished that also meant that I had no interest in this whatsoever. I tried reading Blue Bloods by Melissa Dela Cruz and DNF'd that. So this was a mistake on my part. This was me trying to clear a book from my shelf. And I should have just cleared it from my shelf, as opposed to force you guys to try and read it. You're more interested because I didn't like it or didn't even try it. It sounded really interesting. It sounded like it had kind of Pretty Little Liars, Dark Academia vibes. It talks about pedigree and privilege and stuff like that. All interesting Dark Academia themes. Didn't try it. Didn't pick it up. Like I said, when the most forgiving of your book club gives it 2 stars, I think it's time to call it a day. So Lizzie, I'll give you this one back because I don't need it. I don't need it. Why is everyone giving it 2 stars? I must read and find out. So Katie actually put that it was the first of the books that she started reading. She did read them all as far as I'm aware, but it's the first one she read and it was a total miss. And I was like, what a mood, because I also picked up the worst ones first. Mad, I have to prioritize other books this week, but I'll start it after the book event I'm at next week and no longer need to focus on those. Just our casual humble brag that you're at a book event next week. What book event are you at, Emma? Let us know. It'll be more interesting than whatever it is I've got to say. Trust me. Okay, the next one was one of the others that I finished. The only other one that I finished. No, I finished another one yesterday. Ignore me. So this one, Madam by Phoebe Wynne. Now, I started this with high hopes, and then I saw that Beth from Booknest read it and didn't like it, and I was worried. And then I got to the end of it, and I thought, what a waste of my time. Oh, it's a launch event. But you bought a ticket. What? A launch event for what? A launch event for what? Is it good? Is it Elmer Nichols? What is it? Okay, so Madam, real briefly. Madam is about a young teacher who teaches. Okay, no, I'll get distracted. I'll do this fast, and then I'll come back to you, Emma. Okay, so Madam is about a young teacher who is used to teaching at standard comprehensive schools, teaching classics, but needs more money. So joins this very prestigious, very private, all-girls school. And she's basically teaching them classics. She teaches them about Greek myths. She teaches them Latin. And she's very, very invested in things like that. But soon after she arrives, she realized that there is something weird going on with the school, that it's not just heavily like rigorous traditions or kind of is that necessary? Are you going to come and tell people what you just did?
No.
Zach just came upstairs and just lifted his shirt at me. Thank you.
You're welcome. Love you.
Thanks. Yes, so not only is it not what was I saying? Yes, so not only are the traditions really like stringent, like the fact that she has to be referred to as Madam, like they have to wear these really outdated uniforms, but, and this is a spoiler and the reason I wouldn't recommend it, this is a school where they're learning to be wives. There is straight up a lesson where another teacher and students set her up to observe this lesson, where the teacher is giving a blowjob to another teacher and then showing the students how to do it. Because these girls are daughters of prestigious families that are being sold off to billionaires. I'm just... Hey, Gavin. Yeah, that's what this school is. This school is I mean, you thought that Princess Diaries was bad. You thought Princess Diaries was bad? This is... Yeah, he did. I mean, what a thing to... Yeah, my teacher voice was coming out because I was getting fully prepared to be like, where's the safeguarding? What's happening? Oh, come on. It's not... The thing is, okay, it's not even good. Okay, it's not even like it handles it really well or it's really like built up. This woman is stupid. She's really dumb. So like there'll be scenes where For example, she's got this group of like 4 students that are clearly her favorites. Like, she fully engages with these 4 girls, and she spends the rest of the book trying to save them from this thing. And basically, she wants to know what happened to this other student. One of the students becomes really hyper fixated on her. She can't work out why. She can't work out what's going on. And it's because the teacher she has replaced tried to get those girls out. She tried to close the school down and failed, because the way this school works, it is so intrinsically tied to power. It's never going anywhere. It's never going to happen. So she starts to like try and work with other teachers who've been working there for years and clearly don't have a fucking problem with this. And it's wild to me, because the girls make jokes very early doors about not needing to know certain things or picking up certain subjects because it makes them more viable, or like, I can't remember, they use a particular phrase that essentially means that like when they're 6th formers, because they're young, like this is a secondary school, this isn't like university age, this is young. Yeah, basically that to make them more attractive. And like these girls, like they are abused, they have their hair cut, they're locked in the tower if they misbehave. Like, it's wild. And she's like, oh, what a quirky school. Like, at no point does she think she should get the fuck out of there. And the other thing is, the whole time they've kidnapped her mum. You look great.
Thank you.
You gonna come say hi? Go on, come say hi. You know you want to. You off?
Yes.
See you later.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Why are you being weird now?
I don't know.
I'm trying to talk about this really fucking weird book and you're just loitering, just like slightly off. He's still there. He's still there. He's still just creeping.
I'm good. I'm actually good.
Okay, cool. See you later. Have a
See
good
you later.
shift.
I will. Give everyone my love.
I think you just did, but okay. Anyway. Right, where are we going? Where are we going? Let's go back to the comments because that will help me work out where I was. Correct. Co-wrote Seven Devils. Okay, interesting. Interesting. Yeah, to distract me. Kind of interested. I feel like that was your daddy voice and I realized the book wasn't the right one. No. You could not have picked a worse book to say that to. That's hilarious. All you're doing is convincing Pixie and I that we have to read these books. It's so slow. And she's so stupid. And okay, so this is where I was going with this, right? So, like, one of the students is having an affair with one of the teachers. The student then starts antagonizing the teacher, the main character, and starts, like, breaking her stuff and getting her in trouble just to get rid of her so that she can go back to having an affair with the teacher when she knows she's going to be sold off anyway. And she's played off as the bad guy, the student. She is meant to be the person that we're like, oh my God, she's awful. She's a student who has been groomed. And the teacher's like, oh, there's nothing I could do. She had me in a chokehold because of arbitrary reasons. You're a teacher. You're a teacher. Oh, okay. I feel that's the opposite of what I needed from you, actually. They need to be young so they can learn to be good wives. Oh. Grim. Hi, bye again. Lizzie's already downstairs shouting at him, it's fine. Yeah, that's the thing. I will say that it is a really slow pace. I will say that she kind of works out what the fuck's going on. Not even at this point. Okay, so she's worked out like around this part, like here. So there's this much to go. And then she's got to work out how she's going to fix this. And she doesn't. She doesn't. The students do. And if you are going to read it, I won't spoil how, but I will tell you the ending is fucking bullshit. It's straight up bullshit. And when I tell you, I feel like in this world, nothing changes. And as an ex-teacher, triggered. Big time triggered. Hated it. Mad at it. Gave it 2 stars because I finished it. 1 star for DNFs. I gave it 2 stars because I finished it. Not my favorite Dark Academia of all time. I'm much more interested in your rundown. Yeah. Yeah, she's a student, so it isn't voting. How terrible. She shouldn't be exposing her. It's not her shoulders she exposes, Emma. She walks in and she finds him having sex on his desk. It's, oh my God, it makes me so angry. I remember I was decluttering as well. I was sorting through my TBR and moving everything. Not this time, but another time. And I was like, this book has got to go. I was mad. And I was doubly annoyed that I was like, oh, I'll do it as an audiobook because I have a credit on Audible. Let's do that. I wasted my money on the hardback and on that. I've taken this copy from my mum because my greatest fear is that she'll read it and go, wasn't that a fun read? Wasn't that an interesting thriller? I can't believe that happened, because that's the kind of bullshit she would say. She'd have a great time with this. She'd have a great time with it. And unlike me, she wouldn't be triggered by the way these children are being lolitaed. I would get so mad. I would get so mad if my mum enjoyed this. I don't think I'd get as mad if you guys enjoyed it, because I feel like you'd enjoy it just to spite me, you know? The fact that you want to pick it up at all, even though I keep telling you how bad it is, how angry it makes me. I get it. In theory, Slow books are everything. I romanticize the idea of being a young noblewoman in the 1700s with fuck all else to do all day, who needs a 7-hour day. So, yeah, okay, fair enough. Okay, you convinced me I won't read it. Which bit finally convinced you? Because it wasn't the teacher-student relationship. That wasn't a problem for you. Or the grooming. So what was it? If I realize any of my books to be 100 miles an hour. Same Z's. It's fine, Pixie. We'll find a book Hannah reads about and read and love it. For sure. I'm here for the family slander. Yeah. She gets it. She understands. Hi, Key. Want to send a copy to your mum? Please don't. Please don't send a copy of this to my mother. Because she'd really enjoy it. So basically for Christmas, she asked if she could have a Waypoint subscription box so I can send her a book every month. And it'd be so easy to send her this because this is brand new, right? So I never read this. I did the audiobook instead. I just have this. It would be so easy to give her this. I can't do it. I can't bring myself to do it. If we enjoyed it, it'd be because of the rage and not because we don't see the problems. Yeah, I know. Sometimes you enjoy a rage read. I don't. I just rage. Oh, the ending was bullshit. To be fair, it's one of those ones where they tried to make it like, and the girls save themselves. Except they shouldn't have had to. They shouldn't have had to. The slow pacing is what puts me off. That's fair. And the fact that you're more concerned, thought your mom getting the book, the idea of me finding your address. I thought you already had that address. Because you've sent stuff to me before. I thought. Have you not? You definitely have. You definitely have. Okay, right. I can breathe now. I can breathe. Because the next one, I haven't finished, but I adore it already. I'm having a great time with it. That feels a bit hyperbolic, but fair enough. The next one is Camp Damascus by Chuck Tingle. Now, that is obviously a pseudonym, but a great name nonetheless. This is about a young girl called Robin who is so very religious. So very religious. I thought she must be like 14 because the way she thinks and processes information is so stunted and so YA. And yet she's 20. And the book starts with her going to a like creek with her friends and cliff jumping. And they're having a great time. And they're all from the same church. They're all church kids doing this. So she's a bit surprised when her best friend, who she goes to church with every day and is a boy, kisses her. It's not the Lord's way, but also not her way. And it's very much, I know this is an LGBT book. It's very much clear. The rep is already very, very clear to me. She's fascinated by one of the other girls and she can't work out why. And she's trying to make really awkward conversation with her. And she's very it's not quite neurodivergent coded, but she is hyper fixated on Jesus. Like at one point, she straight up describes Jesus as her only superhero. She hasn't watched certain things and doesn't get certain references because of certain religious stigma around it, which I'll be honest, really resonated with me and people I grew up with who weren't allowed to watch Harry Potter, for example, because it had magic in it. Now, I wouldn't encourage people to watch Harry Potter unless you've got it free already because of TERFs. Completely different ballgame, right? So basically, after she goes to this thing and she kisses this boy and doesn't like it, whilst she's having dinner, she coughs and a fly comes up. And that's gross. And that's just something she has to deal with right up until hundreds more flies fall out of her mouth. And her parents are shady as fuck. Her parents know something. I know they know something. Like, okay, I'm there. Her parents know something. It's a curse. It's the devil. It's something. And they're involved. Because straight up, she starts hallucinating and seeing ghosts. And her dad gaslights her big time. There's a bit where she like literally describes, she remembers closing her bedroom door. She gets up to close her bedroom door. And she says to my dad, because he's not there anymore, like the door's not there anymore, where's my door? He's like, you never had one. And he says it like the way it's described, he's so shady. He's so shady. And you're telling me you went 20 years without having a door to your bedroom? I don't believe you. I don't believe you. It's wild. And she starts to talk to her therapist about it, and then casually halfway through the conversation drops to the audience that her therapist is also the pastor. He's the church guy. So anything she says to him is going to get back to her parents, which is wrong on 2 counts, right? It's going to be wild. And she's not even got to the camp yet. The camp, which is known to be a kind of summer camp for the local church, but also one of the highest rated LGBT conversion camps. It's going to be wild. It's going to be wild. And I just... Yes, he is the pastor. Pastor, but OR. It's just how I say it. Your mum has my address. She does. Is this a superhero? Yes, this is the superhero Jesus book. This is where they talk about, she makes a reference to Clark Kent or Superman and then says, I don't even know how I know that. That's just like through osmosis I've picked that up, because we all know that the true superhero is Jesus. And there's like, they do like these really weird tenets before they pray. They don't just say grace and stuff. Like it's in deep. And it's one of those ones where like I'm kind of intrigued for Tamar and Pixie to read this in particular. One, because it's a horror, right? So it's not just gothic, it's a horror. It's going to be wild. As 2 people on very, very different sides of the religious spectrum, I'm really intrigued to just watch you guys have a conversation about it in the Discord. That's all I want. That's all I want. I want to read it, know it, and then watch you 2 discuss it. I want to read from Chuck Tingle because they got rejected to an event due to their accessibility requirements. What were their accessibility requirements? And was that event Yelk? That's not the Lord's way. When is it ever the Lord's way? You're not wrong. When is it ever the Lord's way? The Lord said no. It is. Okay, cool. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. That's really cool. I know I've seen it on autumns and book lists, so that might be for the author rather than camera wrap. The way the main character processes information and the way she is so almost binary in her responses and the way she deals with being overstimulated, I would not be surprised. But I haven't got to a part where she said explicitly that she's neurodivergent. So I would say neurodivergent coded either because of the author or just in general. In the same way that the I Hate Love or I Hate Romance or I Hate Valentine, whatever that romance book was that I recommended you, that had neurodivergent coded main character without it explicitly being called a neurodivergent character. It has a very similar writing style to that, but very different genre. I'm not gonna lie, I'm really enjoying it. I refused to read this one before bed because it creeps me the fuck out. This has given me the same vibes that the Hollow Places did. That really like slow burn, something is happening, my neck is retracting into my shoulders. I'm cringing and I love it, you know? Shady Parents, I'm sold. Yay, therapy. Oh no, he's a man of God. I really enjoy the 180 this took seconds apart. Yeah, back to pasta. That's not therapy, that's confession. Yes, exactly. But to her, the way it's done, I think it's probably the right religion, different sect. Maybe, I don't know. Also, this sounds good. I think this is one where I'm hyped to read this one and discuss it properly. Like, I'm really enjoying it, and it is so fucking weird that Lizzie, straight up, I think you'd love it. I think you would love it. I need to get my hands on this one. I'm pretty sure, I'm going to check before I say anything. I'm pretty sure this one is available still on Waypoint, but I might not have updated it because there were a couple that I needed to check first. Okay, it isn't, and I'm a dummy. I will update it to include this one because this is good. This is good. They only need to go out in public wearing a paper bag, and it's like a physical masking that allows them to be themselves. Yeah, I think that's the... Oh, okay. I think it was the library in the US. No, okay. Okay, that's fine then. Yeah, because I mean, to be fair, all of their photos, they've got a balaclava on. Like, they actively hide their face. So that doesn't really surprise me. Texas Library event. He was disinvited over wearing a pink mask. I'm surprised if it was a Texas Library event that he was invited in the first place, considering the LGBT nature of his books. But that's just me. So yes, hyped for that one. Let's put that on the I'm still excited for it pile. We're enjoying that one. I need to move those out of the way. There we go. Okay. Next. Okay. I finished this one yesterday. A Taste of Darkness, which was a collection of short stories, YA short stories. I mainly got this to support Amy McCall. And Amy McCall's story was interesting. It was not what I expected at all, but for those of you who love A Sentient House, it's included in that. As for the rest of the stories, there were some that had really great premises and really great starts. But what I learned, and this is a me problem and not a this book problem, because I think actually if you like an anthology, crack on with this one. It was a good time. I don't like short stories when it comes to YA horror, because they just don't do enough. There's just not enough. There's not enough time to really develop your narrative or your characters. And quite a few of these stories really suffered from not being 200 pages longer, because where everything has to move really quickly, there is not enough time for me to even be a little bit scared. And when I'm dealing with stuff like this, that is so insidious and so dark and so creepy, and then I move on to this, like, they're in the same genre, but they're not in the same league. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, this is so tame. This is, yeah, mum, I'm reading a spooky story. And this is, no, mum, I'm fine. Like, they're not the same. And yet they're in the same genre. And, like, the age gap in this is not massive, but it's enough. It is, emotionally, it's enough. So it was fun. I think if you really enjoy Amy McCall's writing, it's worth getting anyway. There are some really great authors in this, such as Melinda Salisbury, I really enjoyed. Rosie Talbot, who's all over YouTube. Kat Dung, Kat Ellis, Catherine Foxfield. This is the first one of theirs that I tried. I'd be more interested to pick up more books from them. And Cynthia Murphy is a hit or miss for me. I was intrigued by the story and the premise, but I didn't love it. But I am more inclined to pick up another Cynthia Murphy book, because the last one I picked up I didn't like. But I'm willing to give her another go based on this. So that's not a bad thing, I don't think. But I just found that I need more from my gothic short stories. I need more from my horror short stories. Because around the same time, I also read Caitlin Starling's Yellow Jessamine, and I still needed more. It moved too quickly for me to feel scared or care. And that's just, this was just a bit too tame for me. It was just a bit too easy for me. I wasn't really that concerned. And some of the endings were really kind of like, oh, That came out of nowhere. You just needed to finish, huh? Like, it felt like they'd run out of space or run out of words. So it was just, and then this happens. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Catherine Foxfield is a hell of a... Where's my mask on? There it is. Yeah, I agree. I really, really enjoyed that story. I can't really talk too much about them because I don't want to go into them and spoil stuff, because there are some in here that are really good. Really, really good. And some in here that were just kind of mid, but that's fine. I'm not going to go too much into that. But I would definitely pick up a Catherine Foxfield book. Do you have a recommendation for me based on my thoughts on this short story? Let me know. Okay, cool. Right. We're coming towards the end. Like I said, this is going to be wicked fast. Now, I only started this one today. The next one was The Murmurs. Now, I'm already intrigued by this. I managed to make it to the 40-page mark just today. And it's not what I expected at all. I expected this to feel like a very simple, classic chick lit thriller. When a woman is able to know through her gift whether someone's going to die and how they're going to die, I kind of assumed it was going to fall into the category of like spooky but fast-paced thriller. It reads more like a witchy book. It reads, I'm trying to think, like comparatively, the opening certainly feels like Hex by Jenny Fagan. Or I'm trying to think, there was another witchy book, the Alexis Henderson one. It kind of reads like that, the historical bit, but it's then modern day and then present day. So it's kind of like her as a kid learning that she has this ability and knowing that she's cursed and why she's cursed. And then kind of going on. Now, like I said, I'm not very, very far in. I'm only 40 pages. But it was really intriguing. The audiobook is great because it's in a Scottish accent and this is set in Scotland as well. I don't know what it is about spooky books in Scotland that are a vibe, but they're a vibe. But it has this kind of, yeah, like I said, this real, again, can't find my mouse, this really like low level, insidious, witchy vibe. And what confuses me is that none of my witchy pals or people that like the witchy books have mentioned it at all. And I'm wondering if you guys just don't know it exists, or if this writer's done something that I don't know about and therefore no one's talking about it. Like, why is this book, why have I seen it nowhere? Why is no one talking about it? Because I don't hate it. Like, it's interesting. Already it's interesting. There's another book that's set in Scotland called The Bequest, which is a dark academia. And I feel like I'm just vibing with Scottish Gothics at the moment. And I might need to take a trip to Edinburgh. Because Scotland is spooky vibe icon. I agree. We created spooky vibes. You did. You did. You're like, you want to be frightened? We got you. I read Catherine Fox's Good Girls Die First. Maybe it was the setting, but it was a real page turner. Interesting. Okay. I'll take that into consideration. Yes, you do need to take a trip to Edinburgh. Yeah, I think I do. I think that needs to happen. So yeah, I haven't really got much more to add to this one, but this is one of the ones, again, to be fair, I said like really aggressively that the list of books that I read and didn't like versus the ones that I was happy to continue was kind of unmatched. But actually, now that I've got them stacked up against each other, it's a 50-50 split between those I enjoyed and were fine and those that I didn't enjoy or didn't want to read. It is a 50-50 split. And I'm going to call it a 50-50 split because although there are 6 that I would not recommend, please don't read these. Well, no, actually, Taste of Darkness is fine. I just didn't like it. Ones that were fine or I didn't like or gave middling reviews to. The ones that I'm quite hyped Oh my God. I'm back. I have no idea if you guys could see or hear me. That was wild. The ones that I would recommend because I'm enjoying them actually kind of works out 50-50. And I've got at least one middle grade on there. So clearly not totally adverse to whimsy. Okay, let's. I'll walk through a graveyard to chill out when I'm in town. Again, we are the spooky queens. You are. No, so okay. What I said at the beginning. For some reason, it's not even letting me disconnect now. So weird. Right. I'm not going to touch any more comments because every time I do, my computer starts panicking. Anyway, I wouldn't recommend A Dark Inheritance because I didn't like the writing style. I found it was being kind of intentionally obtuse, and I didn't enjoy that. There are people that read it and really, really enjoyed it. It was a little too cliche YA for me, and it also didn't help that it's based on Great Gatsby, and I didn't like Great Gatsby. So then when I started seeing that in the writing, I hated it. No idea what's going on with the internet, but I have one book left which I have not touched, and I have no intention of touching it anytime soon. I am so annoyed that it arrived so late because I ordered these in good time to send out, and then they weren't included in my box, and I was just so annoyed. And that was the Murder at Maybridge Castle, which was the Christmas mystery for December 2023. I'm not making that mistake again. I am not reading a Christmas book in March. It's not happening. So I am saving this one until December of this year. And this will also be December's pick for this year. Not a surprise. But if you want to pick up a 1930s murder mystery set in a snowy castle, could be a good time. Last year at Christmas, I read A Murder in White. And I think it's going to have very similar vibes, but I'm hoping it's better. Yes, really early for December 2024. So hopefully we'll be good to go with that one. But yes, so the TLDR. I'm going to wrap this up super quickly because my internet's being rubbish. I would read the Murmurs. I'm going to finish that one. I'm really excited to finish that one. Camp Damascus, I'm also really hyped for. Triflers need not apply. I just need to know how it ends. The Dangerous Gifts of Dolores Mackenzie, I have every intention of continuing the series of this one. The Turnout, I'm not convinced by 100%, but I'm saving it for a ballet vlog at some point. That will happen at some point. And then a TLDR of the ones that I either didn't like or wouldn't recommend. We have The Ripping Tree because it was hella racist and not in a fun way. It was, and by fun way, I mean like it actually does something about it other than just lamp lighting it and kind of going, yeah, this is the thing that happened. Like, it's so messed up. Messed up. Dark Inheritance because it was boring. Headmaster's List, you guys gave it 2 stars, so I didn't bother. The Ghost Locket was just kind of mid. A Taste of Darkness was fine. And this, hated it. These two, I don't need them in my life. I don't need to recommend them to you. There are so many good books that talk about racism and so many good books that talk about misogyny and grooming, and those aren't them. They're not them. Emma, don't pick up The Ripping Tree. Don't do it. Don't do it. I think Hannah's favours Madam. Yeah, you're right. Right. I'm going to leave it here because my internet is having a mare now for absolutely no reason. I can only assume it's because the wind's changed. But I really appreciate you guys for all rocking up because this could have been 20 minutes if I'd been here by myself. The fact that you guys were here to keep me entertained and keep me company, I really appreciate. So I'm going to leave it here. The author of colour? No, not to my knowledge. Actually, I will check right now. I don't think so. No, she's Australian, but she's a white woman. So no. I wrote it up for scrapbooking. You've got it. Okay, cool. Right. Thank you so much for coming. I will catch you all very soon. Actually, the next live show, let me just quickly check for you because I am doing loads. Let's see if my phone lasts. It's on 1%. Will it last long enough? Is Patreon sprints on Monday. So if you are part of my patrons, that I will see you there. If not, I will see you some other time very soon. Thanks for coming and have a nice day.